we're going to make it accessible. We're going to make it easy for people to bring their comments, their concerns, their suggestions, good, bad, or otherwise. I want to hear it all, right? I can't serve the people of Independence properly if I don't know what they're thinking.
Welcome to the Focal Flip Podcast. Every week we take a deep dive into the mystery and stigma behind mental health and explore real-life stories of struggle and triumph. We aim to educate and encourage others as we bring together a diverse group of guests. From the streets to sanctuaries, classrooms to boardrooms, mental health does not discriminate, neither do we. Prepare to laugh, prepare to cry, prepare to be changed. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Focal Flip Podcast. My name is Mike, your host, founder at Focal Flip. We are running another episode with independent city council candidates, city councilmen. The mayor has agreed to come on. So you all saw Matthew Failer in the previous episode. Today, I have a friend of mine from college, Northern Kentucky University, Bryan Roemer. Bryan, welcome, man.
Thanks, Mike. Excited to be here, man. Hard to believe 20 years ago, kicking up on NKU's campus, and here we are doing a podcast.
I know. It's wild, actually. It really is, because, I was gone from the town for a while, and then I come back, and then I think we see each other at Duncan, and it's like, now you're running for city council. Hey. You're living in Independence. I'm back in Independence. I'm like, man, I can't avoid people that I know.
It was funny that day we ran into you at Duncan. We were sitting there with my wife and the kids, and I looked up and I was like, man, I think that's Mike. I went to college with him, and sure enough, you turn around and Roemer, what's up?
I know. Dude. I'm like, hey, you lost some weight.
Hey,
man. You lost some weight.
Trying to be healthier. About
awesome.
80 pounds.
Yeah, that's cool. No, it was really cool to see. I enjoyed my college experience with you. We always had a good relationship. There was a group of Sig Eps. Bryan was in Sigma Phi Epsilon at Northern Kentucky University, and there's a good group of Sig Eps that I became friends with. Hilarious group.
We were, we were in that group that we didn't care which fraternity you were in. We were just,
it was awesome.
We all hung out.
Yeah,
let's have a good time. That's what college is for.
This was fun. It was fun.
And maybe we start, maybe do like an on the road focal flip up at like Skyline Tavern or something. Throw back to the old days. Man,
I'll just sit in there and try not to relapse. I'll just be sitting here handing.
Hey, it's a different place now. They cleaned it up.
I wonder, have they?
Oh yeah. Big time difference.
Now I'm curious. I want to go see it. Skyline Tavern.
They got a deck out front. No more, really? 90-degree steps, concrete steps.
All right, for the listeners that don't know, Skyline Tavern is it's a bar that is up on the hill by Northern Kentucky University that we frequented when we were in college, and we played a lot of pool, had a lot of
darts, a lot of burgers,
fun, a lot of pitchers of beer,
maybe one or two,
a couple
here or there,
and everybody hung out there too.
Oh yeah.
So
professors were there.
Skyline, shout out Skyline Tavern, huh?
Love it.
Well, anyways, Bryan, we'll go ahead and get into it. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
I'm fascinated by folks that want to run for, positions like city councilman. I've been a little bit in the business world and stuff, and that's such an incredible task I look at, just in saying, I want to do something like this, but then once you make that decision, the task of trying to do that, it's overwhelming to me. So that's just part of the reason why I want to have all of you all on.
Oh, absolutely.
So I can better understand it.
Overwhelming is a good word. When I first brought this up, my wife was like, "You're crazy. What are you going to do that for?" And I was like, "Oh, let's give it a shot." And I thought it was going to be as simple as just filling out some paperwork and putting my name on a ballot. But boy, was I wrong. You got to get an EIN number for a campaign. You got to do all this other paperwork for finance, and not even to mention the actual campaigning part where you're going out meeting people and making sure you're getting your name out there, and being your own biggest self promoter, trying to make those connections, trying to be involved, and going to all these city council meetings to make sure you're in the know of what's going on, and just randomly. I mean, this morning on my way out here, a citizen stopped me while I was at UDF getting a drink. I wanted to talk about things going on.
Oh, cool.
I didn't have that experience 6 months ago.
Wow.
I would talk to anybody. That I'm a social guy. I'll stop and talk to anybody.
Yeah.
But it's different now. They're like, oh, you're Bryan. You're running for council. Yeah. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And you end up in these conversations that I never would have imagined having. And I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome.
It's a great feeling to know, that you're, that I'm going to have a chance to hopefully represent the great people of Independence and continue the growth of the city and into the right path and kind of steer it in the right way.
That's a very cool story. I appreciate you sharing that. So tell me, I mean, you just said everything that has to come in, you got to have an EIN number. I mean, I get it, tax ID. I get how it all works and all that stuff. What makes you decide to run in the first place? And why Independence?
Well, so my wife and I got married in 2017, and we were living in Crestview Hills in a townhouse she had bought. And about 6 weeks after we got married, she's like, hey, actually, we're talking about this last night because it was right during the World Series. It was the Houston Astros World Series Championship in 17.
Yeah.
Game 7, I'm watching the game, sitting on the couch. She comes down the steps and says, hey, how invested are you in this game? It's like, first time the Astros are going to win the World Series. Pretty invested. I'd like to see them happen. She's like, we need to go to Walgreens to get some more pregnancy tests. So found out we were pregnant with our firstborn that night, and we realized our townhouse wasn't going to cut it for a family of 3. Mm-hmm. I mean, heck, it barely cut it for a family of 2. Mm-hmm. So we started looking for houses, and we had a lot of places on the list. We had, Fort Thomas, Union. Her parents lived up in Union. And Independence was the top of my list. I've been generations of family from Independence.
Okay.
My great-grandparents owned the farm on McHugh Lane that's still in Independence.
Oh, wow.
My great-grandma grew up there.
Very cool.
And Grandpa was the chief of police of Kenton County. My uncle was chief of police of Kenton County. They both lived in Independence. Wow. My brother served out here as a police officer, lived in Independence. So I spent a lot of time in Independence.
Sure.
I spending time out here before 17 was a road running all the way through.
Yeah, I know it.
Remember cutting through Madison
we
Pike?
Had we had one yellow flashing caution light.
Yeah.
That was it. That was before even any of the growth when I was little.
Right. That was, now look at it, right? So when we picked Independence, 6 years ago, we moved in 2018, and it was a completely different place then than it is now.
Yeah.
And I love Independence. Love what we've built here. Yeah. Love the community. Love our neighbors. Love the friends we've made. It's a great town. People help people. People go out of their way to be kind. You don't get a lot of that in other places.
Yeah.
And looking at it, we want to raise our girls here long term. We want to be here. We don't want to go anywhere else. Mm-hmm. This is where we call home. And watching that, I decided I wanted to get involved because I think it's time for some fresh perspective on things that are coming to Independence. You see a lot of things. People complain about the growth. Well, growth is inevitable, right? We can't tell people what they're going to do with their private property. You look at these developments in these neighborhoods going up, and it's going to happen, right? But let's be smart about it, and let's make informed decisions about it, and let's represent the people the way they want to be represented.
Yeah.
Let's listen. Let's go out and talk to them. Let's get their feedback. And best way to do that is to run for a city council position. Be an impact person. I can't sit down and watch things happen and complain about them or celebrate them if I'm not doing something about them.
Good for you.
And I think that's kind of one of the things I've always tried to do. I'm not a complainer. I'm a solution person. You come to me with a problem, I'm going to try to find a solution for you.
Yeah.
Hey, you don't like the condos going in? Well, let's see if we can find a way to work that out.
Yeah.
You don't like the growth that's happening? Let's find a way to see if we can do that better.
Yeah.
In a more healthy way.
Okay. So go ahead and elaborate on that since we're on it. Like give me an example of something that's coming that we could make that's better or more thoughtful as opposed to just immediate growth. I'm just had a little bug on me.
Well, we're out here in the country, Mike. You never know what's going to go on out here. No, I think you look at the not a city project that's coming, but a major state project that's coming to Independence. 536 is going to change the layout and the kind of probably the demographics of the city a little bit. When you're talking putting in a 4-lane highway running all the way from Boone County to Campbell County right through the heart of Independence, unfortunately took out one of our history businesses in the Independence Skateway. We had the chance to go there a few times, but you look at something like Project 536 and what's going on with that. There's going to be an explosion of growth when that becomes available and makes it easier to get to and from Independence, right? I mean, right now you want to get to 75. You got to cut through Florence, Erlanger.
Oh, yes, you do.
Yeah, you know, and it's not always easy. Those times of the days. And, you know, I think our infrastructure is going to start getting overloaded with things. And we need to really look at how we manage the city roadways. You know, if you look at like the corner of Independence Station and Cody Road, I go that way every morning. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it takes 10, 15 minutes just to get through the stop sign there.
Does it really? See, I don't have to go through that way. I'm not up that way, clearly.
And I mean, that's a direct result of the number of neighborhoods and development that we have on the west side of Independence there.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we moved into the Meadow Glen neighborhood, didn't have any idea that it was supposed to expand to almost 350 houses.
Wow.
And as of today, there's about 5 houses owned by Fisher that needs to be sold before that neighborhood's completed.
So do you think that the infrastructure is somewhat behind based on the population growth?
I do.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at Madison Pike as a prime example, trying to go through there at a peak time of day.
Yeah, I do know that.
I mean,
I do know that.
Well, listen, if you're not a fan of traffic, you're not going to want to go that way. Yeah. And you know, you can wind through the other different ways, but eventually all roads lead back to Madison Pike there.
Yeah.
And the community is going to keep growing. The infrastructure is going to keep, you know, being stressed with the amount of traffic that we get and the amount of residents and businesses coming in, which is great. I love that people want to be in Independence.
Yeah.
But we got to make sure we can, you know, our city can handle that.
Yeah.
You know, the another intersection, Harris Pike and Madison Pike, right by Duncan and the Roses and all that.
Mm-hmm. Especially in the morning for school, all the kids crossing.
You know, and it's
it's been an ongoing conversation in the city of Independence for a while.
It's a dangerous spot for those kids to cross. Yeah. Not to mention dangerous spot for drivers. Yeah. You know, so things like that. And as Independence grows,
they got those guys out there walking them through too. I see them every morning. It's really cool to do that.
It's great that they do that. You know, and it's great that they have that feature there to help keep people safe. But how many times have you had to go through there and been rerouted because there's an accident or something at that intersection?
Yeah, there's quite a bit.
And you look around the intersection and there's 20 cars deep on most sides. Mm-hmm. So things like that, we have to figure out a way to make sure that as we grow, we can handle the influx of people.
Yeah. So let me ask you this then. Do you think that's not a concern of current council now?
I think they're aware of it.
Okay.
You know, I haven't seen anything really proposed to find ways to fix that. You know, they have talked about getting with the Kentucky Department of Transportation on the Cody Road, Madison Pike.
Yeah.
You know, they requested a light, and, you know, I think the Department of Transportation is talking about putting in a 3-way stop.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, going to help.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to alleviate some of that.
Yeah. No, I asked you that just because I was curious.
But, you know, I think they're aware of it. But just like anybody, I mean, most of our city council hasn't spent their lives in this kind of work, right?
Yeah.
I haven't. I don't have the answers for it, but I'd love to find a solution to how to make these roads safer and, you know, make our community safer for people that are walking on the roads. I mean, you see people walking on those all the time.
Yeah.
Walking dogs, walking families. And we got to make sure, you know, we're doing the best we can for them.
Okay.
You know, and I think, you know, I think current city council has done a great job.
Yeah.
Right. You know, I'm not here to bash anybody. I'm not mad at anybody. That's not
why
I'm
I know.
running.
It's just weird because it's an election year and you're deciding to run for council. So it's already weird having this conversation knowing the other councilmen are listed too. Like,
you kind of have to run in an election year, Mike. I don't have the option to run outside.
I know they're just saying that, but it's like,
but
you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Actually, that was a question that was posed to me was, are you mad at us? Is that why you're running? No, I'm not.
Yeah.
But I think change is a good thing sometimes.
Yeah.
You know.
So you're legit on, fresh perspective.
Correct.
I mean, you have your kids here. You're passionate about the city. There's generations long of your family. There's a legacy there that can be made. You want to stay. I mean, it's Independence. It's like, I don't know, third largest landmass in the state of Kentucky.
Yeah,
something like that.
We're nearing 30,000 residents.
But as far as landmass, we still have that beautiful appeal and all this other stuff.
We've still got that very rural feel.
Yeah.
I mean, just driving through, there's still farms in the heart of Independence.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, I get it. No, I definitely heard you well. I really did. And I think it's admirable that you want to do that, because especially for the things like you just said. Like, are you guys mad at us? Are you mad at us? Is that why you're running? And, that would be an interesting, and I'm glad you shared that actually, because I've wondered that, and I'm going to ask current councilmen when they come on. It's like, what is that like when you're current council and Independence is doing well, it's thriving, but we do have a lot of economic and significant growth that's coming to the area. But I always wondered, I'm like, do they see that as a threat, or do they see it as a potential teammate? I'm not a big political person. I'm a business type minded person, but I do understand politics.
Right.
So I just didn't know if that's like.
Politics is one of those things. I mean, people are going to be mad in politics, no matter which way you go.
Yeah,
you're not going to make everybody happy,
differing
right?
Opinions too.
But
you're human.
You've got to work to find something that works for everybody, right? It's almost impossible to make everybody happy, right? You just can't do it. I try to do it every day with my kids, and
good luck with that, buddy.
Right? That might be my toughest critics right there, but they're doing a great job with what they have, right? I mean, our city is phenomenal.
Yeah, I love this city.
I mean, you look at some of the, we've got the 4th of July celebration.
Oh,
an
man.
Incredible event. Incredible.
Best around.
It's amazing to see that. Things like that, the Christmas walk,
the parks was really
we have.
Cool too.
Like, we have such a great community, and it's one I want to be a part of for a long time.
Yeah.
I love driving every day and seeing my great grandmother's maiden name on the road.
That's
love
cool.
it.
That's cool.
Love that connection. And
I think that's
the
neat.
fact that I'm literally right next to where she grew up.
I think that's neat. Good for you. Good for you. So let me ask you this. So when we're talking about that Project 536, 536 coming through, because I can see it too. I mean, we've got the growth that's coming here. Holland Group's got some awesome restaurants and such coming.
Can't wait.
There's a lot. But then, like Park 536, are you aware of anything like what's to come of that? Because that was like our first big type industrial growth on that piece of that part of the city, which is even closer towards Florence, which in my opinion, will bring a great, incredible economic impact.
Oh, absolutely.
But then, I think a common question that the councilmen here, candidates, is like, what's going to go in there? What do you want? What do we bring in there? Like, what's your opinion on what you bring in at like Park 536?
I mean, let's talk about the elephant in the Northern Kentucky room.
Yeah.
What do we think's probably going to end up there? My guess is some type of Amazon facility. I don't know for sure, but you look at what's going on and how Amazon's growing, right close to access to the highway.
Yeah.
I mean, something like that would be great. Other distribution sites, I think Park 536 is a great addition to the commercial business aspect of Independence.
Amazon's big.
Amazon's massive.
Wow.
I don't know if they're the elephant in the room. They might be like the mastodon or the great whale in the room.
Yeah, pretty big.
But I could see that facility being something they'd be interested in because your access to 75 is right there.
Yeah.
You got Kroger's got a distribution center out there. FedEx has got a distribution center out there. There's all kinds of opportunities to bring in these businesses to to fill that space. Yeah. I think it's something like 750,000 square feet of warehouse space out there.
Yeah, that's a good size.
It's
a big warehouse.
You're going to need a big company.
Yeah.
Or multiple companies to come in there.
Yeah. Have you heard of anything on where that might stand or?
I haven't. I drive past it all the time and I'm always looking to see if there's new signs or something going up, but I haven't heard of anything that's going in there right now. And, I think you look at the economy right now, a lot of businesses are cutting costs just like families are.
Yeah.
And, that's going to affect a project like that.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. But, I would love to see some big company like that come in and fill that space.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I just think the opportunities are endless. I think about the RFP process. I think about the businesses that will end up being throwing for that prime piece of spot, and that's just it would just be an interesting to see what that's like on council side and how it's just be really interesting to see what that's like on the city side because it's such an appealing place and an appealing spot.
It absolutely is.
Yeah,
and you look at the work they're doing down there on 536 in Bristow and
changing
the growth
that's coming.
And the growth that's coming.
People are going to want to be in there.
The planning commission's looking to rezone a piece of property out there for residential development.
Yeah.
It's coming along, and I think once the first business goes in there, I think you're going to see the dominoes fall pretty quickly, with other businesses following suit.
Yeah,
because a lot of people they don't want to be the first one to jump into something like that.
Yeah, I know.
So I think once they make that decision,
I understand.
I think it's going to fill up pretty quickly, and I think it's going to be. I think it's a great thing for the city.
Yeah, I can understand that. So tell me about this, Bryan. I loved it when we first started off and you talked about how a person came up to you. You got Bryan Roemer on the side of your car.
I'm not hiding who I am, that's for sure.
You're definitely not hiding it. What is your plan on receiving community feedback? Okay. How can you, outside of you, like those experiences are awesome. That's independence.
Great.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely it is.
But how can, what is your plan on, I hear a lot of this, like, well, we got to hear what the community says, and all the councilmen are like that as well. So, and then how do we get the community in to speak about how they feel about it? Like, they open council meetings, but do you have a plan of how we can get the community more involved when it comes to hearing their opinions on those things?
Yeah.
And then practically applying that towards,
I laugh when you talk about a plan because it makes me think of did you watch The Office?
Yeah.
Where they interviewed a new manager. He's like, yeah, I got a 3-step plan.
3-step plan.
Well, why don't you give us some of that? Well, I'll give it to you when I get hired. I just laugh when people talk about that because, of course I have a plan.
Yeah.
And of course I'm going to share it with you, right? It's, so for me, I think we need to do a better job of actually having like more open forums, right? City council meeting once a month is great.
Yeah.
I've been to every city council meeting this year.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's 10 people. Sometimes there's 3 people. We need to do a better job of actually getting out in the community and hosting open house style events, right?
Okay.
Hey, come on out to the senior center. We're going to have an open forum, a town hall Q&A. Come bring your concerns, bring your feedback, bring your suggestions.
Yeah.
Make ourselves available to the people of Independence.
Yeah.
The other side, that may be kind of a newer, not really a newer concept, but maybe a newer concept to independence, is social media. Is many negatives there are of social media, there's so many positives. Connecting with people is very much one of the positives of that, right?
Yes.
So let's hold monthly live sessions. Go out and bring it to the people so they don't have to come somewhere, right? How much easier would it be for somebody to get involved sitting on their couch asking questions than having to get in their car and figure out a kid's schedule or work schedule and drive to the senior center? Let's make it easily accessible to them. I work in HR, right? I have certain time frames that I need to respond to emails and personal standards. It's not a company issued standard. And I'm going to apply that same standard, if I get elected to city council. Hey, you send me an email. I may not have the answer, but you're going to get an email back to me within the day.
Yeah.
We're going to make it accessible. We're going to make it easy for people to bring their comments, their concerns, their suggestions, good, bad, or otherwise. Yeah. I want to hear it all, right? I can't serve the people of Independence properly if I don't know what they're thinking.
Right.
I mean, we could make assumptions, but assumptions don't usually get anywhere, right?
Yeah.
So being open and being available and accessible to people is going to be the number one way to drive that kind of conversation.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, we're going to go to the Independence Day celebration. We're going to say, come talk.
Yeah.
You're going to be there celebrating. Let's have a conversation. You got concerns? Bring them up to me.
You think people will actually do it?
Yeah,
hopefully.
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean,
just because it'd be curious to hear what people think.
They do it now.
Yeah,
So,
But I'm just saying,
and it's great. But let's make ourselves very accessible.
Yeah. So should we put all the councilmen in the city's names on the side of their car throughout all the time?
I mean, why not?
I know. I literally was just thinking it. That was amazing that you could have that interaction because Failer's got it on his car too. But then I'm sitting here thinking man, I don't know if I want to run around with a councilman sticker all the time on my car. But at the same time, the public will speak to you.
Correct.
Clearly.
Yeah, and I have no problem with that. It drives my wife nuts sometimes.
Kind of sucks on privacy, man.
I love my privacy too, but when you're going to put yourself out there for public office, there's going to be a certain expectation that you're going to be accessible. People are going to want to talk to you.
Yeah.
And it drives my wife crazy sometimes because we'll be at a store and I'll end up having a conversation with the cashier for 15 minutes. She's like, dude, we got to go. I'm like, yeah, but he's a Michigan fan. I'm a Michigan fan. He's a sports fan. I'm a sports fan. Whatever the case may be. No, I had to throw that in there for you. I know. It's all right. A lot of people do.
There was going to be a lot of people do thing in there, man. He's a Wolverine fan. I mean, he's hardcore. He's
Michigan, been that way since I was a kid,
since he's a baby.
I can't argue that through the dark years and all, but
that's funny.
I don't mind having those conversations random. I love talking to people.
Yeah.
Love being out there and doing that. And, I think we got to do a better job of being accessible.
Yeah.
We have to make ourselves available to the public. We have to get out there and get in front of people and hear what they have to say.
Sure.
I mean, a lot of times people aren't going to complain about things, right? Unless they have a reason to, a negative
city's
reason.
Doing great. So
right.
I mean, we just have a lot. We have good problems.
Tax rates aren't going up. You know, the city's growing.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, the growth is inevitable, but it's that practical, thoughtful growth with keeping that city appeal has been a common thing that's coming through.
And I think you mentioned the Downs of Nicholson and the Gary Holland development. I think that's a great thing for the city.
That is going to be.
And I think it's in a very smart location.
Yeah.
That's a big development.
Yeah.
Residential, commercial.
I don't think a lot of folks realize how big it is until it's done.
I mean, you can see, you're starting to see.
They're going to realize it when it's all done.
now. Driving out here today, I was looking at I think the First Watch is the first one that's going to be done. And then there's going to be the Spear Ridge Cafe, the Limestone, the brewery, the event center. Like, it's going to be a big development.
Yeah.
And I think it's in a great location because it's easily accessible by 16 and 17. Yeah. If you tried to put something like that in the heart of downtown Independence, it's going to make traffic rough. Yeah. But, I think that's a good example of smart development.
Thoughtful growth. There you go. I was going to ask you, is that an example of smart development? Yeah.
He's taking that property, and, I mean, Gary Holland's a great businessman, right? You look at what he's built with his company.
Clearly, yeah.
I think Gary grew up in Independence, right? Yeah. He loves the city. And I think this development is a great example of smart development, what he's building out there. It's accessible. It's not going to create more congestion. Yeah. There's plenty of room out there on 16 and 17, and it gives us a whole lot more options for places in town for entertainment.
Oh man, I'm probably going to be up there a lot. It's closer to my house,
right? It's close to your house. As long as I don't get stuck by the train on Independence Station, I'll be there. I might just be a little late if I get stuck, but you're talking Barleycorn's Brew House.
Yeah,
Barleycorn's, a Limestone, this kind of a fancier upscale restaurant, the event center. How awesome would it be for our kids ever want to, if we stay here, that long and our kids decide they're going to get married or something, they can use the event center down to Nicholson. I mean, things like that, to have something like that in your community, it's such a great addition.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Very cool. You look at what Bill and Space Cowboys is doing as well, bringing another restaurant to Independence.
Yeah, Bill's doing awesome.
He's a good guy.
He's doing awesome.
Also,
he's a great guy.
He was also in SIGUP, right?
Huh?
You also know he was a SIGUP too, right?
Yeah, he did mention that. Now.
Yeah. So we got that college connection as well. But what they're building out there.
SIGUPs.
Hey, it is what it is, man.
I know. I'm just
we weren't all cut out to the same cloth. Yeah.
I learn so much every day.
Yeah. And so what he's building out here too. With his events like the Haunted Fairground event next weekend.
Yeah, I mean he's
doing great things.
He's got the Haunted Fairgrounds for 2 weekends.
Yep.
And then you got booze and brew. Yeah, it's just there's a lot of the city.
What Erin has done with the Parks Department, it's been awesome. This Booze and Brews event, I can't wait for. I'm so excited.
Legit.
Fantastic.
She's legit.
I did appreciate this time with the registration form, like the 4th of July parade. You sign up, hey, have candy, you don't want to run out. Yeah, of course you don't want to run out.
Yeah.
I have no idea how much candy you needed. I was talking to a friend of mine who, works on political campaigns at the federal level. And he's like, yeah, you're probably going to need at least 10,000 pieces of candy. 10,000? You know how much candy that is? We went through every piece of 10,000 pieces. And on this registration form, she's like, we expect this many participants, this much candy. I'm like, all right.
I'm not surprised, man. I'm not surprised.
But I know
big deal.
I know the kids are excited about it. My kids are very excited about it.
Yeah.
The police department and the FOP are doing the Haunted Trail.
Yeah.
There's going to be live music, food trucks. Gary Holland's bringing Barleycorns out as for the beer trucks. It's going to be a great time, man. Yeah. And things like that at Independence are great.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the farmers market to be done. The permanent farmers market behind the courthouse, and I think there's opportunities there to expand our social or recreational activities. One of the things I'd like to see, and this is part of that plan that I was going to, keep to myself until,
until
we got hired.
Share it, just little bits and pieces.
Something, I think it'd be awesome if we did like a concerts at the courthouse series. You got this farmer's market. It's going to be nice flat ground. Hey, bring in some local
concerts at the courthouse.
Maybe some local acoustic acts come sit up there and have a couple hours of live music to enjoy the downtown area, the courthouse square area.
So you'd have music down there and down at the senior, because we have it at the senior center during the week.
Yeah, and let's build on that. Let's create those opportunities. I mean, the amphitheater at Memorial Park is fantastic for the live music, the big bands that come in. But let's use like the farmers market, the courthouse in that property for some smaller acts, right? Hey, let's bring in an acoustic act, or maybe some food trucks, and have like a wine event or something, or a food truck festival.
Aaron, you hearing this? Aaron, are you hearing this? I'm telling Aaron, get on.
I'm happy to work on her with it.
Can you imagine, dude, how much stuff that
Oh yeah.
It's cool. That's just, I don't know.
I mean, my reference to, a parks department is Parks and Rec. And, that's a little bit wild, but, I love our parks. I'm so excited for the splash pad. And, that was one of my things that I wanted to bring up when I was running. And then, the thunder kind of got taken out from underneath me, but I'm excited for it. I'm not mad about that. That's something I think would be a huge benefit to this community.
For sure.
And, we've got, quite a few parks. Let's try to look at maybe building a dog park in one of them.
Yes.
I mean, how awesome would it be to be able to, go downtown, take your dog, get some food, go to the dog park, hang out, go take your kids to the splash pad. Heck, when the splash pad opens, I'll be the first one in there with my kids. Let's have fun. Let's run through the water.
Come up there and splash around
Come
on.
We'll bring the kids up. We'll hang out. We'll have a picnic, order some pizza.
Bryan, man, I'm grateful that you came out today.
And I'm so happy to be here.
You did a great job today. I'm getting ready to wrap up. You can hear creaking going on. I'm getting ready to have a bathroom remodel, demolition done this morning.
Thought maybe that was the Bigfoot or the squash that lives out in these woods here. Yeah, that's where he's hiding.
That's the construction folks that are coming in upstairs. But thank you for coming out and sharing that. Me, I learned a lot more about you as well, and kind of there's more questions that I want to ask you into. But I think you did a fantastic job explaining that.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Giving everybody an understanding of who you are, your respect for council, and then kind of a little, hey, you touched on a lot of the stuff in Independence really in a fairly brief amount of time. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. This is, love what you're doing. I mean, like I said earlier, man, 20 years ago, who would have thought this is a conversation we're having, and the business you're growing out here in Independence, and how involved you are with the community. It's an honor to be here.
Man, thank you.
I love what you're doing. Watch as many episodes as I can.
Awesome. I appreciate it.
I was like, I can't wait. Can't wait to get out here and do this.
See the
studio, and be part of this, part of what you're growing. Like you said, hey, Joe Rogan needs a successor, man.
Dude, that's my
We can flip the tables here. I can start asking you questions.
I'm going to start texting Joe. Text Joe Rogan and be like, hey, listen, in about 15 years, I want to take over the Joe Rogan experience.
I mean,
make it the focal flip experience.
Let's get on that anytime workout. Unless we gotta buff ourselves up a little bit.
Out too. All right, man. Thank you for coming out.
Thanks for having me.
Good luck to you. I hope you get on. It's gonna be fun. I hope you tune in to all the other councilmen too, and. It's just, I'm glad all you guys are saying yes to this. It just tells you even more about the community. So again, thank you.
Yes,
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Right.
It's great, man.
All right, everybody.
Let's do it again sometime.
Hit like, hit subscribe, do all that stuff. I'm an old guy trying to tell you how to do young people stuff. So like, subscribe, websites there, focalflip.com, Instagram @focal_flip. We've got, I could give you all the hashtags and tags, handles and all that. But anyways, we're out. Thank you. Okay, you ready to wrap this thing up?
If you like Focal Flip's videos, my dad's videos, go to YouTube, Spotify, and Apple, and like and subscribe to be updated.
I love it.